Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic I want to go over, how do you run a sub 40-minute 10K? And a 10K definitely is much more anaerobic in nature as versus if you're training for, say, a 10 mile or a half marathon or marathon. The pace per mile that you need to sustain in order to run under 40 minutes for 10 kilometers is 6 minutes and 26 seconds per mile, or 4 minutes flat per kilometer for 10 kilometers in a row. So you definitely have to train at paces that are under 6 minute mile pace, and definitely get closer to doing your repetitions running well below 3 minutes and 40-second K pace in training, especially if you're doing like VO2 max workouts on the track, repeat 200s to repeat 800s, miles, repeat 2 miles on the track. Those are the types of workouts where you're running much faster, usually anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds faster than your goal 10K race pace. That is going to help you improve your body's lactate tolerance and to be able to sustain 626 mile pace for the entire 6.2 miles, or 4 minutes per kilometer for the entire 10 kilometers. Again, the biggest mistake a lot of athletes make in these shorter races as well as the longer races is we get way too hyped up in the early stages of the races. We go out way too fast and then we pay for it in the latter stages of the race. Now again, if you're very anaerobically fit, if you're in great aerobic shape as well, and you've tapered down correctly, you've really followed a legitimate plan, you've trained for a longer period of time, then you can, if you have the confidence and if you've trained properly, if you've done your homework and training properly, you can go out much more aggressive in a 10K and to sustain the pace, because you're going to be going up against athletes that have done their work, that have relied on both their genetic capability as well as their work ethic, and that are going to go out very fast in that first mile or that first few kilometers, and they're going to sustain that pace. Now the key thing is in running under 40 minutes for 10 kilometers is you have to be focused on speed development in training. You have to focus on not only working on your leg speed, work via doing hill repetitions, hillier runs, lengthening your tempo run. If you're training for a 10K, at least what I did over the years training for the 10 kilometer distance is I would always work toward around 5 to 7 miles in length. I think going a little bit further than your race distance for a tempo effort, running at your anaerobic threshold, will help you not only physiologically but also mentally for a 10 kilometer race as well. Definitely, if you have not started this, implementing a 10-day rather than a 3-week taper for your 10Ks. Okay, you will go into your race feeling much more fresh, much more energized, rather than if you start dropping your volume and your intensity too far out from your goal 10K race. That's a big mistake that a lot of athletes make. And sure, there are a lot of athletes out there that still set new personal best with a 3-week taper, but I think a 10-day taper will really help you see some significant results. And of course, you have to train hard both with your long runs, with your tempo runs, with your track sessions, because a 10-day taper or a 3-week or 4-week taper is not going to do you any good if you have not done your homework and training. So I do believe that in order to run under 40 minutes for 10 kilometers, you definitely, like I've talked about in other videos, it's very important to start implementing faster long runs where you're running a mixture of VO2 max, anaerobic threshold efforts, and easy efforts in the middle of those long runs. Okay, if you're continuing to run easy and relaxed every single weekend, you're building your endurance, you're burning fat, but you're not preparing yourself to run an all-out anaerobic 6.2 miles on the roads or on the track. You have to change up your strategy to run a sub 40-minute 10 kilometer time. And so you have to start looking at what do the best middle to long distance runners do to run so fast and make it look so easy. One of the key things they do is they're running around 35 to 40% of their weekly volume in terms of mileage at or below their anaerobic threshold effort. So of course they make it look easy for a reason. They're running a higher percentage of their weekly volume at a higher intensity. So if you're running 80 to 90% of your weekly volume too aerobically, too easily, all it's going to make you is a superior long slow distance runner. Okay, athletes that are going for a sub 40-minute time are not average athletes. These athletes are extremely competitive, very, very fast, and they're going after some really superior times. Sub 40 minutes for a 10 kilometer, you have got to be in great aerobic shape, anaerobic shape, as well as. So start thinking about your strategy in terms of leading into this sub 40-minute 10K effort. Focus on a longer build-up. Do not try to run a sub 40-minute 10K in a matter of 8 weeks. Remember, it takes about 21 days up to about 4 weeks for your body to adapt to any stress load you're placing on it. So if you're doing mile repeats, say at like 620 per rep right now, and you're doing 5 to 6 of those reps on the track, it's going to take your body about 3 to 4 weeks to adapt to that intensity. Okay, once it's adapted, then start running around 6 minute to 6:05 per rep. Okay, focus on doing that for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then start looking at aiming at around 5:45 to 5:55 per rep, and do that for 3 weeks, and then start your taper down. Okay, so again, a longer buildup is always best. I always recommend to athletes, especially from the 10K up to around the marathon, focus on a minimum of 16 weeks, but preferably 20 to 24 weeks to prepare for your race. Now a 10K, 20 to 24 weeks might be a little bit too long for some athletes, but 20 to 24 weeks is optimal if you're training, especially for like a 10-mile half marathon or a marathon. I think the minimum for a 10K is 12 weeks, and right around between 16 and 20 weeks for the 10-kilometer distance. Again, don't be in a rush. To break a 40-minute 10K, you definitely, like I said, you have to be in great physiological shape as well as mental shape. Again, that's 6:26 mile pace for 6.2 miles, or 4 minutes flat per kilometer for 10 straight kilometers. So watch your pacing in the early stages of this race. Do not go out the first few miles of that race at 6-minute mile pace. Okay, you're going to pay for it in the later stages of the race, unless you have trained well below 6-minute mile pace in training, and often, where you've gotten to the point where you've tapered down and 6:26 mile pace feels more like you're running around 7-minute mile pace, and so that you can sustain that effort for the entire race. So make sure that you don't go out too fast. Focus on a negative split. Okay, if you're aiming for a sub 40-minute 10K, I would go out that first 5K in around 21:30 to 22 flat, and then aim on coming back in that second half in under 20 flat. Okay, again, it's going to vary from athlete to athlete, but you need to run 20 flat and come back with a sub 20. But you have to also see it. You have to also visualize success and see yourself getting across this finish line in 39:59 on the clock. And so many athletes only focus on physical training, and they bypass what most of the world-class athletes, the ones at least I've trained with over the years from all parts of the world, these athletes focus on both mental preparation as well as physical preparation on the track and on the roads. So you can't just do 50% of the work and expect to get new personal best. Okay, you have to. My best recommendation is what I did over the years in my own career and helped me get to the professional level, the elite level, is I studied all the time what were the best runners, middle distance runners, long distance runners, as well as sprinters. What were they doing in training that made them perform at such a high level? Okay, and definitely the more that I studied, the more I found out that they're just running a higher percentage of their weekly mileage at a faster intensity, at a higher intensity. So I hope this makes sense in order to help you to break sub 40-minute 10K barrier. I do have training plans on RunDreamAchieve.com that will help you, guide you to getting under that 40-minute 10K barrier time, as well as other resources. Definitely check below these videos as well. There's resources there for you, and feel free to leave me a comment. I will definitely respond back to you. Like these videos and share them. I definitely appreciate that. Helps more athletes around the world to see these videos. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. So I wish you all the best in your training and your preparation. I know you can break the sub 40-minute 10K barrier. Other athletes are doing it, so why can't you?